All right, man, peace. So, brothers, the question begs to be asked. Will the NFL be the sports league with the guts, with the cojones, to stand up to the COVID-19 fear-mongering propaganda? They have to be the ones to stand up to it, because if not, I have a feeling that the powers that be are going to make an example out of the NFL, try to put the kibosh on the 2020 NFL season, and go into another phase of fear-mongering, not only on the sports world, but on society at large. It's very clear that this quote-unquote coronavirus is starting to lose steam, especially when it comes to its potency and how it's affecting people. We see the death rates are going down, so now they're speaking about the infection rates as opposed to the death rates. It's time for the people to stand up to the mass fear-mongering that's being perpetuated by the mainstream liberal Marxist media. And I think that the NFL is a great place to start, but the question once again begs to be asked. Will they have the cojones to do so? Because you cannot play football and be scared of a virus that has a 99.9% recovery rate. With athletes in the primes of their lives, you just cannot be scared of it. But if you allow the media to do so, they will pimp you and punk you into costing yourself billions of dollars. So anyway, they're going to talk about it. I'm going to chime in.
Everyone, welcome to TMV Sports. My name is Evan, along with Michael J. Babcock. What's up? Robert L. Littal.
In the house.
I'm sure you guys are having a much better day than Ezekiel Elliott, whose rep confirmed on the record Monday morning that the Dallas Cowboys running back was diagnosed with coronavirus.
These people talk about the coronavirus like it's the fucking Ebola virus. I mean, it's unbelievable to me. And it's truly disheartening and dismaying, or would be disheartening and dismaying to me if I did not already know that the average person is a fucking sheep. People honestly do not ask questions. They do not track sources. They do not do research. They just believe whatever the TV tells them. And as I repeatedly tell you, brothers, that's the reason why the powers that be have gotten behind the homosexuals, the lesbians, the transgenders, and the obnoxious feminazi women. Because they know that those demographics have mental issues that stop them from being able to make appropriate decisions. Therefore, the vast majority of the bluster that proceeds out of their mouth is just that. It's nothing but hot air. At the end of the day, those groups are the easiest to pump full of fear. That's why you always want to push them forth as leaders in society. So that when it's time for you to engineer the masses of the people at large with psyops and public stunts, etc., those that are held in high esteem, the quote-unquote leaders, are going to be the first ones to believe everything that's said, because you've installed a leadership caste that's idiotic. That's why they want to marginalize the intelligent men and work through, once again, the toxically feminine women, the homosexuals, the lesbians, the transgenders, also the quote-unquote race mongers who have bought into the corporate definitions of race like black, white, etc. That's why they work through them.
One of many Dallas Cowboy and Houston Texans players to have come down with the condition, according to the NFL Network's Ian Rappaport. This is a big deal because we have seen NFL players get coronavirus before. Guys like Von Miller have gotten it already, but not this close to, training campers are beginning to open. We're getting close to the season now, and it seems like there is an outbreak amongst football players in Texas.
Von Miller, in my view, is another suspected Monarch athlete as well. But I'll be addressing that most likely in another video down the line.
In Texas, by the way, which just had its highest day of positive coronavirus tests on Sunday, more than 2,000 people tested positive.
That would make sense, especially since more people are getting tested. How many of those people are asymptomatic, though? For this weak-ass, whack-ass, pussy-ass virus. Let me knock on wood. But, brothers, at the end of the day, as long as you're trying to condition your body, you're eating appropriately, getting the appropriate nutrients, the proper rest, making sure that your immunity levels stay high, you should be okay. Unless you have some underlying medical condition. This is not something to be deathly in fear of or to stop society over. It's truly an abomination what has been done over the course of the last 3 to 4 months.
The total number of cases in Texas to around 90,000 with almost 2,000 deaths. So Texas is a state where it seems to be on the rise right now. And now you've got...
Yes, the testing is on the rise. So therefore, the infection rate, quote unquote, is going to go up. It's going to seem as if it's skyrocketing because people are coming out of quarantine. They're running to the hospital to get tested to make sure that they're okay as society opens. Therefore, it's going to seem as if the infection rate is climbing.
Very high-profile people, including Ezekiel Elliott, that have coronavirus. Babcock, you spoke with the rep.
Yeah, so this is not something that happened weeks ago, Evan. This is a relatively new test here. Zeke tested positive sometime over the last few days. Now, I was told there was one day when he was really not feeling well. He was pretty down that day. But after that, he has bounced back, and he is feeling really good, actually. So,
of course, that normally happens for people in his age group who are relatively physically fit, don't have any underlying health conditions, things of that nature.
Don't expect that he's going to have any, a severe case here that's going to hospitalize him or anything like that. They expect that he'll be able to get through this okay. But I do think you're right. I think this is a real threat to football returning because
it's a threat to football if they buy into the propaganda, the innuendo, and the nonsense. And they allow people like Dr. Fauci to stipulate to them how they're going to conduct themselves. It may be an issue because, of course, the National Football League is a national organization. That means that they're going to have to work with professional football teams that reside inside of states that are led by Democratic governors. That's going to be the main issue and the main problem, because the international Marxists are working through these Democratic governors and mayors. So they may just want to upset the apple cart for the hell of it. These Democratic governors I'm talking about, unless they're receiving money under the table like they are from China.
An outbreak that seems to be going through the Cowboys right now, that could knock an entire team out. And then what do you do when one of the premier franchises can't play football because everyone is sick with a highly contagious virus?
And the problem is if they're going to start the NFL season, they're just going to have to push through. Yeah. I mean, because it's...
Thank you, sir. I'm surprised to hear that from you, especially with how simpish you normally sound. But yes, it's the NFL, which stands for not for long, especially if you allow people to dictate to you how you're going to run your business. You better make sure that you get your players out there and that they play.
Almost impossible to think that 32 teams, and with all of the players that they have, the rosters, the coaches, the referees, everyone, even if they have zero fans, it would probably be it's probably an impossibility that somebody is not going to get the coronavirus at some point. So they have to make a decision and maybe have protocols.
You might have it right now. You could go to a hospital or testing center and get that long-ass cotton swab shoved up your nose and find out that you have the coronavirus. And you'd be like, I'm fine. I was quarantining. I never went out without a mask. How did I get coronavirus? Easy, dumb nigga. The mask does not stop the virus from entering into your system.
So let's say this did happen, during the season. What happens with Ezekiel Elliott? Is he not eligible to play for 3 weeks or 4 weeks? When is it safe to come back? What is it?
That's the real issue. Are you going to hold your most prominent players out of the lineup because they have a virus that is not going to overtly affect them? That's the real crux of the matter right now.
Whole Cowboys, team. They really have to have those protocols in place.
And who else has been exposed to Ezekiel Elliott? And we know he's been hanging out with Dak Prescott since...
A whole bunch of white bitches. That's who's been exposed to Ezekiel Elliott. And who Ezekiel Elliott has exposed himself to in more ways than one.
Pandemic began, we saw them partying together a few months ago. Now, of course, Dak has said that the size of the gathering was much, much smaller than we had initially reported, which, fine, if you believe Dak, which, sure, I believe Dak.
Yes, I don't.
even if it was just Dak and Zeke sitting there, and if Zeke has it, and I know Zeke didn't have it at that time, but just hypothetically speaking, even if you're just with Dak, then your star running back, your star quarterback is out. This thing is so highly contagious. But 53.
Aren't all viruses relatively highly contagious? Like, everybody's on TV trying to speak like they're a virologist or an epidemiologist. How potent is it? That's what I want to know. And what we're finding is that as testing has increased, we're seeing that the lethality that first was being pushed on the masses, that this was some type of crazy borderline bubonic plague virus that could potentially kill 2 million people, is nowhere near that bad. A 103-year-old woman recently recovered from the coronavirus, probably just a month or so ago. It's not a death sentence.
Players in a tight locker room. Right. This is a disaster waiting to happen. And
you're a disaster waiting to happen.
I mean, I don't know what's going to happen with the season. I feel like we could see this happen with other teams, and maybe the whole season gets moved. I hope not.
Stop acting like a bitch.
I'm going to note real quick that Dak Prescott does not have COVID, according to Ian Rappaport, and that Ezekiel Elliott has not been interacting with other members of the organization, according to Ian, that this was something that happened outside of the capacity of the organization. So exposure seems to be limited right now, but as camps are set to reopen in mid to late July, like you guys were saying, this is going to be an issue moving forward. We spoke to J.J. Watt about this recently. Babcock, you actually talked to him.
J.J. Watt, someone who in my view is beyond a shadow of a doubt another Monarch athlete. We see him wearing the number 99, much like the cat who used to play with the 49ers, who now is with the Dallas Cowboys, Aldon Smith. It's just that JJ's programming seems to be a bit stronger. He's also someone clearly living a scripted life. I definitely see that they have plans for him in the political world after his NFL career is over. The number 99, by the way, is symbolic for Mind Cage, which we know definitely has allusions to the MK Ultra program.
He's a member of the Houston Texans, and he said, look, this isn't about the players, because most players in the NFL are not in an age group where they're the most at risk to suffer serious medical conditions from COVID. It's exposing older people, like, and JJ was saying, we have older coaches. People go home and they have older parents. These are things that the NFL is going to need to consider moving forward. Well, look, as this story continues to develop, we'll be...
If that's the case, J.J. Watt, then just don't play the season then. Because if you guys have to be concerned about every 65 and 70-year-old coach, more concerned about them than they're probably concerned about themselves, then you should stay your ass at home then. Even the NBA coaches right now are in the middle of basically trying to establish a referendum on some of the overly protective protocols that the NBA has installed for the coaches that want to participate in the bubble. These guys are grown men. Let them decide what they want to do with their lives.
This, but the Dallas Cowboys, man, that is it, and the Houston Texans have a lot of big decisions to make moving forward.
No, not really. Either you want to make money or you don't. At no point in time should the healthy be quarantined to protect the ill. The ill have to be quarantined to stay away from the healthy. Now, when I say the ill, I'm not talking about people who happen to come down with the virus. I'm talking about people who are the most susceptible to having serious issues in the aftermath of contracting the virus, that being elderly people and people who might have underlying health issues. But life goes on, the show must go on. But anyway, peace.